It is only the group stage to the Champions League. Barcelona had the most disappointing result, in my opinion, among the top four contenders, which Juventus, Liverpool, and Barcelona all dropped 2 points today. In fact, Liverpool dropped all three, and Juventus and Barcelona had the draws. But here I'm going to show you why, after Paris Saint-Germain's 3-0 win over Real Madrid, that it is confirmed that we are going to see Ronaldo and Juventus over Kylian Mbappe and Paris Saint-Germain. The last time Juventus won the Champions League was during the 1995-1996 Champions League season. Ajax was the runner-up to Juventus, and the interesting thing was that the first team that Ajax faced during the group stage was Real Madrid. Now, mind you, Ajax was the runner-up to Juventus in the 1996 Champions League final. Similarly, this year, the first game for Paris Saint-Germain, they shut out Real Madrid 3-0. The reason why this 3-0 is significant, it is because the Champions League final is going to be played on the 30th day of the 5th month. Moliner scored a goal in the 91st minute. Angel Di Maria scored the goal in the 14th in the 33rd minutes of the game. In Gematria, it is Juventus FC that equals 33. It is Torino that equals 91. That is why Paris Saint-Germain scored the goal in the 91st minute. Juventus are based in Torino, Italia. They are going to be 3-7 in the Champions League final this year. Simply enough, it is Di Maria that equals 55. The last time an Italian team won the Champions League came during the 55th edition of the Champions League back in 2009-2010. So the runner-up is confirmed today. It is going to be Paris Saint-Germain. Now, let's see here. This game, Ajax beat Real Madrid at home. Paris Saint-Germain shut down Real Madrid at home. Interesting connection here. An interesting parallel. Now, the 2009-2010 Internazionale, in the group stages of the Champions League, they did play a Spanish team. Juventus are playing a Spanish team during this year's group stage of the Champions League, Atletico Madrid. They drew against Atletico Madrid. Juventus, interesting enough, Internazionale drew against Barcelona in the first game. Their first game of their treble-winning Champions League campaign occurred against a Spanish opposition. Now, the only difference was that Juventus opened away at Madrid, the site of last year's Champions League final. Clue, their Champions League campaign is going to end over at Istanbul, Turkey this year. Clue, we see all these clues happening here with the parallels from the last Juventus Champions League title, because they are going to end a 24-year Champions League title drought, because it is Juventus that has gematria of 24, with the head coach being the banker. One of the scorers of the game today was the former Paris Saint-Germain man, Blaise Matuidi. You see Blaise Matuidi pictured with Paris Saint-Germain in this picture. Blaise Matuidi scored in the 65th minute. This is the 65th Champions League. It is Sarri that has gematria of 65. Juan Cuadrado scored the goal in the 47th minute. After 47 minutes, in the 48th minute, let's see what Juan Cuadrado equals. You see, 10 years later, Juventus are going to win the Champions League after Internazionale won the 2010 Champions League final. Interesting parallels we're seeing. Juan Cuadrado equals 41. Juventus last won the Champions League during the 41st edition of the UEFA Champions League. This is why Juan Cuadrado is the first scorer for Juventus during this year's Champions League campaign. We will be doing the same video here with Barcelona next year. We will be doing it because the elite are all about giving out the subliminal clues here for what is going to happen for this Champions League season. Mbappe against his idol. Well, guess what? Juventus in the group stage. A German team, Borussia Dortmund. Juventus get Bayern Leverkusen this time around. Juventus won the first game. Everything is not going to line up, so it's blatantly obvious, but nonetheless, Juventus begin the Champions League away over at Dortmund, and they began away in this year's Champions League. This is all going to add up to Juventus over Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League final for 2020. Guess what? An Istanbul team was playing in Europa today. AS Roma opened against Istanbul Başakşehir. 4-0. AS Roma is in Syria, the Champions League finals over at Istanbul. They began the European competition against a team from Istanbul. This has to be a clue. This has to be a clue for what's going to happen at 2020 Champions League final, because it is Roma that has Gematria of 20. No doubt about it. Today we have seen subliminal clues that Juventus are going to be beating Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League final this year. We will do the same thing for FC Barcelona during the 2020-2021 Champions League campaign. A special edition of Gematria in numerology. The J will prevail 10 years later after Internazionale's victory during the 2009-2010 Champions League. It is the 9-10 season that adds up to 19. This year's Champions League is beginning during the 19th Champions League. This is the year of the 28th edition of the Champions League. It is sorry that he's going to deliver the Champions League victory. Now, the significance of his Pythagorean gematria of 29 is that Inter Milan began their campaign during a 29 year. 2009 is a 29 year, and I would like to end this video here, and I am looking forward to breaking down the rest of the Champions League campaign. Juventus knockout campaign during 95-96 began against Real Madrid. We should see Juventus knock out Real Madrid during the round of 16 for this year.